We live in a quiet backwater of an ordinary middle-aged spiral galaxy circling one of the more sedate kinds of stars on the surface of a stunningly life-friendly planet. Nature has dealt us a very kind hand, but that doesn't mean we're completely safe or that we can afford to be complacent. Space rocks as big as houses zip by us closer than the moon every few months or so. Some the size of large mountains have smashed into Earth in the past, causing serious mayhem. Giant stars explode, supervolcanoes erupt, ice ages come and go. The very fabric of space and time might rip apart at any moment if some theories are to be believed. And if these potential natural disasters aren't enough, there are threats of our own making in the form of new technologies that could spin out of control. We might even fall victim to an alien attack, just like those in the good old B-movies of the 50s. Not that there's any need to panic. Almost certainly the world won't end this week, or in our lifetime, or in our children's lifetimes. But it's possible, even if we manage to avoid a climate catastrophe or pressing the nuclear button, that the human race and even Earth itself could be wiped out in less time than it takes you to watch this video. Or the end might come more gradually, but still uncomfortably fast over the space of a few years or a few centuries. The destruction might involve more than just our planet. There are ways in which the entire universe, with its hundreds of billions of galaxies, could slip swiftly into oblivion without warning. Prophesying the end of the world has always been a popular pastime. An Assyrian clay tablet dating back nearly 5,000 years warned, "Our Earth is degenerate in these latter days. There are signs that the world is speedily coming to an end." Doommongers throughout the ages have had a uniformly dismal success rate. Often the date when everything will unravel is pinpointed with great precision, to the embarrassment of the author when the world continues on its merry way past the appointed time. Early in Rome's history, many Romans feared the city would be destroyed in the 120th year of its founding. There was a myth that a dozen eagles had revealed to Romulus a mystical number representing the lifetime of Rome, and it came to be supposed that each eagle represented 10 years. Since the Roman calendar began in what is our 753 BC, the date of destruction was put at 634 BC. In more recent times, hardly a year has gone by without someone staking their often dubious reputation that the Day of Judgment or the Rapture is nigh. 2010, for instance, was the last time anyone needed to print calendars according to the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. In 2011, it was the turn of Harold Camping and his California-based Family Radio Group to declare that May the 21st would see the second coming of Christ. Camping's followers emptied their bank accounts trying to spread the word, and were less than pleased to find themselves still stuck on a very material world and totally broke. Meanwhile, New Hampshire atheist Bart Center made a killing by setting up eternal earthbound pets and charging clients $135 a time for insurance policies that guaranteed care for animals whose owners had ascended to a better place. British physicist Brian Cox tweeted, "I think we should all pretend the rapture is happening so that when Harold Camping gets left behind later today, he'll be livid." Astronomical events have long been favoured as portents of doom. Comets especially have been singled out as celestial omens. The 1066 return of Halley's Comet in the skies over Britain, recorded in the Bayeux Tapestry, certainly didn't coincide with good luck for King Harold II of England, who took an arrow in the eye, but may have been viewed in a more kindly light by his adversary, William of Normandy. The appearance of another comet, Kohoutek, stirred David Berg, aka Moses David of the Children of God cult, to red ink January 1974 as the fateful month. Unfortunately for his credibility, Kohoutek failed to collide with Earth, although that didn't stop him making further predictions about the second coming. In the summer of 1993, Sister Marie Gabriel Paprocki announced her prophecy that a comet would collide with Jupiter on or before July the 25th, 1994, causing the biggest cosmic explosion in the history of mankind and bringing an end to the world. In fact, a comet did hit Jupiter on July the 16th, 1994. However, Sister Marie's prediction seems a little less startling in view of the fact that it came nearly 2 months after astronomer Brian Marsden reported that comet Shoemaker-Levy 9 was on track for an impact with the giant planet. And of course, there's no way that a relatively little object breaking up in Jupiter's atmosphere could have any effect at all on us hundreds of millions of kilometers away. Tragedy accompanied the claim by San Diego-based Heaven's Gate cultists that a UFO trailing behind comet Hale-Bopp would save their souls from the imminent destruction of the world. This rumour started when amateur astronomer Chuck Schramek mistook a star for what he thought was a Saturn-like object following the comet. Internet gossip ballooned the story to ludicrous proportions. There was no UFO, Hale-Bopp never came close to colliding with Earth, but 39 members of the cult committed suicide in the belief that their souls would be among the few to be rescued. It seems we never learn. 2011 saw more folk getting agitated about the imminent arrival of comet Elenin. Google Elenin, and you'd be bombarded with ill-informed offerings about how Elenin would come close or even ram into the Earth, bringing death and destruction on a biblical scale. In fact, Elenin was nothing special in astronomical terms, just another comet visiting the inner parts of the solar system from the depths of space. With a nucleus or hard central part only a few kilometers wide, it was actually on the small side as comets go, and astronomers knew well in advance that the closest it would come to us on October the 16th, 2011 was 35 million kilometers, or about 90 times further away than the Moon. Shortly after its discovery, a few armchair theorists had mistaken the size of Elenin's coma, that glowing, almost vacuum-thin, shiny fuzz of vaporized particles around the nucleus, for the size of the nucleus itself. Some of these self-styled experts then caused a stir on the internet by claiming that Elenin was as big as a planet and would cause chaos during its close passage of Earth. As the world now knows, little comet Elenin slipped quietly by without unduly disturbing our affairs. Nothing captures the imagination quite as much as the terrifying prospect of worlds in collision. The Russian-born American psychiatrist Immanuel Velikovsky achieved remarkable popular success with a series of books on this theme. Scouring ancient literary sources, including the Bible, for his data, Velikovsky pieced together a revisionist chronology of events involving close encounters between Earth and other planets, notably Venus and Mars. His Worlds in Collision and Ages of Chaos were bestsellers in their day, and such was the intricacy of his claims that it took scientists the best part of 30 years to critique them fairly and in full. Although Velikovsky didn't emerge from the analysis well, it's generally recognized that he uncovered some interesting references in ancient texts to the possible effect of comets and meteorites. Another author who claimed to have found evidence of past collisions from Sumerian writings was the Azeri-born American Zecharia Sitchin. Like the German writer Erich von Daniken of Chariots of the Gods fame, Sitchin was a proponent of the ancient astronaut hypothesis, which maintains that extraterrestrials have influenced human history. His theory was that Sumerian culture wasn't homegrown, as previously assumed by every respectable archaeologist and historian, but was in fact seeded by the Anunnaki, a race of aliens from a world whose existence he announced in his book The 12th Planet, Nibiru. No amount of debunking of Sitchin's faux erudite work by Sumerian scholars, who've pointed out multiple flaws in his translations and his selective reading of text, diminished the popularity of this entertaining narrative. Sitchin's books have been translated into more than 25 languages and have sold millions of copies. Myth builds upon myth, led by an insatiable appetite for escapist retellings of science and history. We seem to love a good scary story, especially if someone who poses as an authority tells us it might be true.